At the 2023 TED Artificial Intelligence Conference, two men, Reid Hoffman and Kevin Scott, delivered a TED Talk called The Evolution of AI and How It Will Impact Human Creativity. Um, Reid Hoffman is a venture capitalist and investor who made his original fortune investing in and being a co-founder of the social platform LinkedIn, but has more recently invested in an AI research startup. And Kevin Scott has worked in tech for his whole career and has worked his way up to now be the CTO of Microsoft, although he also worked for LinkedIn previously. So these two men do have a connection through Hoffman's company. Initially, they began talking about how AI has become accessible in the last couple of years in a way that it hadn't been before. Kevin Scott pointed out that AI isn't entirely new, and various forms of AI have been in development and in use behind the scenes in all sorts of ways at different companies and in research, and is being used in consumer technologies in ways that consumers didn't even know. But more recent uh, releases of things like ChatGPT and um, AI that can generate images with prompts and things like that, uh, consumers have begun to directly interact with AI in a way they haven't before. And that's made the whole technology more accessible to so many more people. Um, but at the same time, it's changed how AI has used because now people without, extreme levels of technological know-how are using this advanced technology. And that has been the primary change over the last couple of years in the AI space, according to both of these gentlemen who gave this talk, because it's changed how it's used, not just how it's being researched and how it's being developed. And they pointed out that it's allowing users to do complex tasks with their computers that previously they only would have been able to do had a developer predicted consumers would need that function and need that technology and develop a tool that's easy to use for it. Whereas now the AI is able to interpret the user's prompts and perform those tasks without as much supervision. Moving on from that, they talked a lot about the regulation of AI, and Reid Hoffman pointed out that it's important not to rush or be too hasty to regulate. And the reason for that is that overregulation could slow down development of the technology in a way that would prevent important breakthroughs from occurring, including breakthroughs in medical technology and surgery and DNA research and things like that that can actually improve many people's lives, um, or even in education in ways that it can help educate people further who might not otherwise have access to um, certain forms of education, and that overregulation and overzealous regulation would actually prevent those things from happening. Um, but at the same time, it's very important for the government to have a role in AI, because as uh, Kevin Scott pointed out, um, the government has a democratic mandate to do these things in a way that private companies don't, and they have to answer to the general public in a way that the leaders of these companies and the developers of these tools, like himself, simply don't have. And it's important to keep a certain level of accountability in these issues and apply rules that are fair for all of the players in the game, all of the developers and all of the users, regardless of what company they come from and what their personal backgrounds are. And Reid Hoffman, after that, moved on to the very important topic of how AI affects creativity. And he makes the claim that AI amplifies human creativity and allows humans to be more creative than they uh, can without AI tools. And I think that's very interesting point of view because AI in art is, of course, quite controversial. And so I'd like to pose a few questions to the two of them regarding the topics of this conversation. The first of which is primarily for Reid Hoffman, uh, to do with creativity. And I would like to know how he would respond to artists who are concerned about how AI could negatively affect creativity and how it can prevent people from thinking and creating on their own and instead relying on machines to do the creativity for them, and how AI generated artwork might serve to devalue art in general and decrease the quality of art that the general public, which might not be super educated on artistic topics, encounters on a daily basis. Secondly, also primarily for Rita Hoffman, I'd like him to further clarify and elaborate on his stance on AI regulation. Um, I don't necessarily disagree that the government shouldn't be overzealous in its regulation, but um, he seems to have brushed off concerns about misinformation in particular that could be caused by generative AI, and said that it seems to be something that sort of could be solved easier at a later date. Um, but I'm not sure if that's exactly what he meant, because um, surely he would recognize that um, the sort of distrust that can be sown from that form of misinformation is very hard to undo, and it can be very hard to regain the public's trust for these tech companies, and also to harbor trust between citizens in a society who have learned to be very skeptical of each other and the information that they're sharing. And finally, I'd like to ask Kevin Scott what he thinks the government should do to encourage cooperation between AI research and development teams, because he made a point at the end that antitrust laws can actually sometimes discourage this in their attempts to prevent monopoly.